Welcome back. You've given us quite the challenge this time, a deep dive into excerpts from a commentary on Proverbs.
Oh, yeah.
It's not every day we get to unpack such ancient wisdom
Right.
and see how it applies to the modern world.
It's fascinating
It is.
how these proverbs written thousands of years ago still resonate with the human experience.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they anticipated the dilemmas we'd face even today.
The commentary starts strong, diving right into Proverbs 1.7.
Okay.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to admit, when I first read that,
Right.
it conjured up images of some kind of, well, divine punishment.
Uh-huh.
But the commentary suggests a much deeper interpretation.
It's not about cowering in fear. Think of it more as a deep respect, an awareness of a higher moral order that governs the universe.
Oh, okay.
It's acknowledging that our actions have consequences that ripple outward.
So, would you say it's more about living with intention?
Mm.
Understanding that our choices matter in a grander scheme?
Mm-hmm. Precisely. It's that awareness that sets the foundation for wisdom. And speaking of wisdom, Proverbs loves to contrast the wise with, well, let's just say those who aren't quite there yet.
The fools.
Yeah.
And there are some pretty vivid descriptions
Yeah.
of their, shall we say, less than wise ways.
Yeah.
Like in Proverbs 21.20, where it talks about fools swallowing their wealth without a thought for tomorrow. It's like that impulse buy, you regret the second you click confirm order.
Except on a much grander scale.
Yeah.
It's an interesting parallel to today's consumerism, where instant gratification often trumps long-term planning.
Oh, wow.
This proverb warns against that short-sightedness, reminding us that true wealth is built on a foundation of wisdom and foresight.
And then you have the wise, whose words are described in Proverbs 15.4 as a tree of life.
Yeah.
It's like their speech nourishes and sustains those around them. It's the opposite of empty words or harmful gossip.
And that contrast between the impact of a fool's words and a wise person's words is so striking. Proverbs 29.9 states that even if a fool is angry or laughs, there is no peace.
Right.
It suggests that true inner peace is intertwined with wisdom,
Oh.
regardless of external circumstances.
But wouldn't you say there are times when honesty,
Yeah.
a key aspect of wisdom as we're discussing it,
Right.
might clash with the need for diplomacy, especially in delicate situations?
Mm-hmm.
How do we reconcile those two?
That's a great question. And Proverbs doesn't shy away from acknowledging those tensions.
Okay.
It's not about blindly blurting out truths, but rather discerning when and how to speak them effectively.
So it's about finding that delicate balance between honesty and tact.
Yes.
Always considering the potential impact of our words.
Yes.
And that careful consideration is a hallmark of wisdom. Proverbs isn't just about spouting off proverbs. It's about using them to navigate the complexities of life, relationships included.
Right.
And the commentary really dives into the practical advice Proverbs offers in this area.
Oh, it does.
Like in Proverbs 18.24, where it talks about the importance of choosing friends wisely. It says, a man of many companions may come to ruin,
Yeah.
but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. It's quality over quantity, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the challenge of discerning true friends from those who might lead us astray. I'm reminded of that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choosing wisely who we surround ourselves with has a profound impact on our lives.
The commentary also unpacks Proverbs 15.1.
Okay.
A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. This reminds me of that one time. Well, let's just say I learned the hard way that escalating a conflict rarely leads to a positive outcome. Choosing to respond with gentleness, even when provoked, is a game changer.
It really is. Proverbs 17.9 also hits on another critical aspect of relationships.
Okay.
Whoever repeats a matter separates close friends.
Yeah.
It's a stark warning against the dangers of gossip.
So it's about being mindful of what we say, even in casual conversations.
Exactly. It's recognizing that words have power to build up or tear down,
Yeah.
to foster connection or sow division.
Right.
And speaking of the power of words, Proverbs has a lot to say about that.
Proverbs 18.4 really paints a picture with this idea.
Yeah.
It compares the words of a man's mouth to deep waters, a bubbling brook, highlighting the duality of our speech.
Right.
It can be both profound and refreshing, can't it?
Absolutely. And then there's that stark warning in Proverbs 18.21.
Yeah.
The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit.
Wow.
It's a sobering reminder that our words carry real weight, They have the power to build up or destroy, to heal or inflict pain.
It's a call to radical responsibility with our speech, wouldn't you say?
It is, and it's not just about avoiding harmful speech.
Right.
Proverbs also encourages us to cultivate words that are life-giving, encouraging, and truthful.
Yeah.
It's about using our words intentionally to create a more positive and harmonious world.
Now, shifting gears a bit,
Okay.
the commentary also delves into Proverbs wisdom for work and finances.
Yeah.
Something I think we could all use a bit of guidance on.
Proverbs 21.5 is a great place to start.
Right.
It says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty."
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that true success, both financially and professionally, is built on a foundation of diligence, planning, and consistent effort.
It's interesting how that contrasts with the image of the fool we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
the one who squanders their wealth without a thought for the future.
Exactly. The wise understand that true abundance is about more than just accumulating wealth.
Right.
It's about using resources wisely,
Mm-hmm.
planning for the future, and making choices that lead to long-term stability and prosperity.
Proverbs also touches on the importance of generosity,
Oh, yeah.
even when it comes to finances. Proverbs 11.24 states, "One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds what he should give and only suffers want." That's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
It is, but I think it speaks to a deeper truth about the nature of abundance.
Wow.
When we hold on too tightly to what we have, we actually limit its potential.
Yeah.
But when we give freely, with open hands, we create a flow of abundance that can come back to us in unexpected ways.
So it's not just about working hard,
Right.
but about using our resources wisely and being generous with what we have.
Exactly. And it's not just about material wealth.
Right.
It's about generosity of spirit, sharing our time, talents, and resources with others.
Now, before we move on,
Okay.
there's one figure in Proverbs that I find particularly intriguing, the alien woman.
Mm.
The commentary spends quite a bit of time unpacking the various interpretations of her symbolic meaning.
Right.
And I have to admit, I'm a bit perplexed by her.
She's definitely a complex and multifaceted figure.
Yeah.
Proverbs portrays her in a way that suggests she represents more than just a literal foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
She's often associated with temptation, seduction,
Okay.
and straying from the path of wisdom.
In Proverbs 2.16, she's described as someone who makes smooth her words.
Yeah.
And in Proverbs 5.3, her speech is compared to olive oil.
Which on the surface might seem appealing,
Yeah.
but Proverbs warns against being swayed by her charms. Some scholars interpret her as a literal temptress, a
Oh.
warning against adultery,
Okay.
but she can also be seen as a symbol of folly, worldly wisdom, or
Yeah.
anything that might lure us away from what is true and good.
Proverbs 2.1e even says that her house sinks down to death and her paths to the shades.
Right.
It's pretty intense imagery.
It is, and it highlights the potential consequences of being led astray by what might seem alluring on the surface. But what's fascinating is that the interpretation of the alien woman is ultimately left open to the reader.
So some might argue that this figure is outdated, irrelevant in today's context. What would you say to that?
It's a valid point, but I think the alien woman can still speak to us today. Even if we're not facing the same literal temptations as those in ancient times, think about the constant barrage of distractions we face in the modern world. Social media, consumerism, the pursuit of instant gratification.
Right.
These can all be seen as modern-day alien women,
Oh, wow.
tempting us to stray from what truly matters.
It's a call to discernment,
Yeah.
to look beyond the surface and be mindful of the influences we allow into our lives.
Exactly. It's about asking ourselves, what are the alien women in my own life?
Right.
What are the things that tempt me to compromise my values,
Mm-hmm.
to stray from my goals,
Right.
to settle for less than what I know is best for me?
Yeah.
And how can I use the wisdom of Proverbs to resist those temptations and stay true to my path?
It's a powerful reminder that the pursuit of wisdom is an ongoing journey,
Oh, Liz.
one that requires constant vigilance and self-reflection. Now, we've talked about fearing the Lord,
Yeah.
fools versus the wise, relationships, the power of words, work, finances, and even the enigmatic alien woman. Is there anything else Proverbs covers?
Oh, there's so much more to explore.
Oh, wow.
One theme that consistently emerges is the emphasis on personal responsibility.
Okay.
Proverbs reminds us that we are ultimately responsible for our choices
Mhm.
and their consequences.
Proverbs 11.19 really drives that point home. True righteousness leads to life, but the one who pursues evil pursues it to his own death.
Right.
It's a stark reminder that our choices have consequences, both for ourselves and for those around us.
And that responsibility extends to our thoughts and our speech.
Okay.
Proverbs 16.30 states, "Whoever winks maliciously stirs up trouble, and a whispering gossip separates close friends." It's a reminder that even seemingly small actions can have a ripple effect.
You know, I used to think gossip was harmless fun until I experienced its destructive power firsthand.
Oh,
It
wow.
really opened my eyes to the importance of guarding our words
Yeah,
and being mindful of the impact they can have.
that's a powerful insight. And it highlights how Proverbs encourages us to be mindful of not only what we do,
Right.
but also what we think and say.
We're responsible for cultivating inner harmony,
Yes.
not just outward appearances.
Precisely.
And that's where the pursuit of wisdom comes in.
It seems like that's the ultimate goal in Proverbs, to
Yes.
pursue wisdom and to live it out in our daily lives.
Absolutely. And the commentary highlights how Proverbs presents wisdom not as some unattainable ideal,
Yeah,
but as something we can actively cultivate through our choices and actions.
that's right.
Proverbs 3.13 describes it as a blessing. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding.
And it's a journey we're all invited to embark on.
But this journey isn't a passive stroll through a park, is it?
No?
Proverbs 18.15 tells us that the heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, for the ears of the wise seek it out. It requires effort,
You're right.
intentionality, a willingness to learn and grow.
It's about being proactive,
Yeah.
actively listening, and always being open to new perspectives.
And isn't humility a crucial part of this as well?
Absolutely. Proverbs 11.2 states that when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. True wisdom begins with acknowledging what we don't know and being open to learning from others.
So it's not enough to simply be open to learning.
Right.
We also have to be willing to be corrected, even when it's uncomfortable.
That's where true growth happens. Proverbs 15.32 says, "Whoever ignores instruction despises himself, but he who listens to reproof gains intelligence." It's about seeing correction not as a punishment,
Right.
but as an opportunity for growth.
I remember being so resistant to feedback early in my career.
Yeah.
But I've come to realize that those who are willing to offer constructive criticism,
Right.
even if it stung a bit at first, were the ones who truly cared about my growth.
It takes humility to accept that we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And that we can learn from others.
Yeah.
Even those who might be younger or less experienced than us.
Proverbs 29.15 puts it this way: "A rod and a reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself brings shame to his mother." It's about recognizing that sometimes we need a bit of tough love
Right.
to set us on the right path.
And Proverbs emphasizes that this guidance often comes from those who have come before us.
Okay.
Those who have walked the path and learned valuable lessons along the way.
Proverbs 23.22 is a powerful reminder of this. Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old.
And I think this extends beyond just our biological parents.
Yeah.
It encompasses mentors,
Right.
teachers, elders, and anyone who has wisdom to share.
So it's about recognizing that wisdom can come from a variety of sources
Yes.
and being open to learning from those who have something valuable to teach us.
Precisely. Surrounding ourselves with wise counsel is essential to our growth.
Now, with all this talk about pursuing wisdom, I'm curious, how does Proverbs actually define wisdom?
That's a great question. Proverbs doesn't offer a neat one-size-fits-all definition. Instead, it paints a picture of wisdom through its many facets and applications.
But there must be some common thread that runs through all of these teachings.
One core element that consistently emerges is the idea of right living,
Okay.
aligning our actions with what is true, good, and just. It's about living with integrity
Right.
and making choices that reflect our values.
Proverbs 10.9 beautifully captures this.
Yeah.
Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out.
It's about being honest,
Yeah.
transparent, and trustworthy in all our dealings.
So it's not just about knowing what's right, it's about putting wisdom into practice in our everyday lives.
Exactly. Proverbs reminds us that wisdom isn't merely a theoretical concept.
Right.
It's a way of life.
And this way of life requires constant learning, growth, and refinement, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a journey,
Right.
not a destination.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to how relevant these ancient proverbs are to our modern lives.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
It is.
Though written thousands of years ago,
Yeah.
they still speak to the challenges we face today, offering guidance on everything from relationships to work to the pursuit of meaning and purpose.
It's like they tap into these universal truths about human nature,
Right.
about what it means to live a good and fulfilling life.
They offer timeless wisdom for navigating the complexities of human experience.
Mhm.
And the commentary we've explored today has done a brilliant job of illuminating their deeper meaning
Right.
and relevance for us today.
It's like having a wise mentor, guiding us through the labyrinth of life and pointing out the hidden gems of wisdom along the way.
That's a wonderful way to put it.
As we've been exploring these proverbs, I've been struck by how much emphasis is placed on the practical side of wisdom. It's not just about having knowledge,
Right.
but about applying it to our everyday lives.
That's what makes Proverbs so unique. It's a grounded guide to navigating the real world
Yeah.
with all its messiness and complexities.
It's like Proverbs 16.9, which says, "The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps."
Mm-hmm.
It acknowledges that we have agency.
Right.
We make plans,
Yeah.
but ultimately there's a higher power at work.
It's not about passive resignation to fate.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that our plans are best made in alignment with a higher will,
Mhm.
understanding that sometimes life takes unexpected turns.
So it's a balance between taking initiative and surrendering to what we can't control.
Exactly. And Proverbs reminds us that even in uncertainty, we can find peace and security by trusting in a power greater than ourselves.
And that trust, that fear of the Lord we talked
Yeah.
about earlier,
Yeah.
seems to be the bedrock of wisdom in Proverbs.
It's the foundation upon which everything else is built.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that there's a moral order to the universe,
Right?
and that aligning our lives with that order brings stability, purpose,
Mm.
and ultimately true fulfillment.
This deep dive has been incredible.
It has.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface of the wisdom contained in Proverbs.
Right.
But we've certainly unearthed some valuable insights.
That's the beauty of these ancient texts.
It is.
They're inexhaustible wells of wisdom. Every time you return to them,
Yeah.
you discover something new,
Yeah.
something that speaks to your current circumstances and challenges.
It's like having this wise mentor always there to offer guidance
Right.
and perspective,
Yeah.
no matter what you're going through.
That's a wonderful way to put it. And the commentary we've explored today has been a brilliant guide,
It has.
helping us unlock the deeper meaning and relevance of these timeless proverbs.
Well, this deep dive has highlighted how Proverbs wisdom isn't just about ancient morals.
Right.
It's a practical framework for navigating the complexities of modern life.
It encourages us to be lifelong learners,
Yeah.
to cultivate humility,
Mm-hmm.
to choose our words carefully,
Right.
to build strong relationships,
Yeah.
and to approach work and finances with integrity and generosity.
And above all, to remember that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's the foundation upon which we can build a life of purpose, meaning, and true fulfillment. Proverbs encourages us to seek wisdom through our lives. What aspect of wisdom resonated most with you today, and how can you apply it to your own journey? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share your insights or ask any further questions.
The conversation doesn't end here. The pursuit of wisdom is an ongoing adventure, and we're all in this together.